Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here. Well, what you're about to see in today's report must not be forgotten. In fact, it should be the #1 news story, but instead it's been pushed to the bottom of the feed. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about a mainstream media news source, Salon, coming out and literally saying that the conservatives are the old Nazis. No joke. And I can't express the ramifications to conservatives by such a statement from a mainstream media news source. I mean, where we are headed is absolutely terrifying. And as most of you know, conservatives were officially labeled deplorables under Hillary Clinton. And then as Trump became president and under President Trump, we were labeled xenophobic, racist, and bigots. Then that eventually morphed to white supremacists and white nationalists. And today we have literally been given the label of domestic terrorist and domestic violent extremists, thus leading me to the article that you are about to see. It's really headed in a very terrifying direction. But before I get into the report, I just want to remind you guys, get on over to restrictedrepublic.com. I started this website with Justice Night because of all the censorship that exists. And this is where I'm going to really dive in to real and truthful information on what's going on. It's got exclusive content. We do live streams every now and then on Restricted Republic. And not to mention, this is where we're going to be when the crap hits the fan and we're all like removed from multiple platforms. I cannot stress the importance of getting over to these alternative sites. And right now you get 14 days free just for trying it out, and you can quit whenever you like. So check it out at restrictedrepublic.com. All right, let's dive into this article on Salon. Conservatives are the new good Germans, also known as Nazi Germans, enabling and defending Trump's crimes. Whatever conservative once meant in American politics, it is now just a flimsy rhetoric shield for fascism. Now, before I get into that, I want to remind you what is fascism? And I've kind of pulled up the definition because I think this is important before we dive into the article. And here it is. Fascism is a form of far-right authoritarian characterized by dictatorial powers, forcible suppression of opposition, and strong regiment of society and the economy, which came to prominence in the early 20th century. Let me pause again. When it says forcible suppression of opposition, there is only one party who is removing information of conservatives off the internet. That would be the liberal leftist Democratic Party. So how on earth do we have that? Not only are they the ones removing information, but fascist, is defined by a merger of interest and activities between government, corporation, big media, social media, banking, and technology. There is only one party that has control of all of that today. And it's the same party that's kicking conservatives out of banks, kicking conservatives out of big tech groups. There's only one party, and I'll let you guess which party that is. And I think we all know that it's not the Republican Party. But moving on, they want to give us the label of straight up fascists when they're the ones who control every aspect of society. All right, but let's move on a little bit into the article. They start the article by basically bashing on Trump supporters. Let me put and bashing on Trump. Donald Trump is a force of political and human and moral and economic destruction. He is the leader of an American neo-fascist and white supremacist movement. Today's Republican Party has fully become an extension of his political cult and crime family. So the very opening of this report is saying Donald Trump is a racist and all his followers are racist, and the Republican Party is following his racist ideology straight up from the get-go. Again, I can't express enough the ramifications of this kind of rhetoric, but it goes on. Donald Trump is positioning himself as a shadow president. Moreover, public opinion polls show that Trump himself is more popular than the Republican Party, while right-wing evangelicals worship Trump like he is a god. Senator Mitt Romney has warned that Trump will likely win the 2024 Republican nominee if chosen to run a second term. The article goes on a little further. In the age of Trump, American democracy is under assault by neo-fascism, by white supremacy, by authoritarianism, by gangster capitalism, you see how they threw that in there, and other antisocial values and beliefs. Trump and his Republican Party and their followers, that's all 79 some odd million, 70 whatever it was, have no respect, they say, for the rule of law. No respect. And have consistently sought to undermine. Let me pause here again. What have Trump supporters undermined in regards to the law? Well, I really can't think of anything, but I can think of radical leftist organizations like Antifa and BLM who have undermined the rule of law by burning 250 of our businesses in the streets, protesting, riots, killing people. And I can also recall the fact that the Democratic Party and the Liberal Party erase laws when it comes to illegal immigration at our border. They say those laws don't count, right? Or the laws on our freedom of speech granted to us by our Constitution, those don't count because in typical fascist form, they are removing people from the internet because they don't like their political views. There is only one party who is truly about that, and it isn't Donald Trump or the Republican Party. But I go on. Trump and his movement had now normalized right-wing terrorism and political violence directed against liberals, progressive, non-white Jews, Muslim, and others that they deem to be the enemy. Wait, what? I mean, they're literally saying here that Trump supports violence and his supporters all support violence. It's just not true. I don't know a single Trump supporter or Republican that is pushing that ideology. I'm against violence. I've always been against that. In fact, I was against the violence that happened on the Capitol 6 riot, right? Most everybody was. And here's the thing, and I'm just going to say this. Let me just be clear. There wasn't one case of Trump supporters putting violence on anyone there. It was not that, right? The one case that they had about the police officer where they falsified information about saying a Trump supporter slacked him in the head with a fire extinguisher. Well, as it turns out, that didn't happen. But yet they're going to blow this up? Of course. And again, I'm against all violence. But they're literally painting us that we're out there being violent against liberals, progressive, non-whites, Jews, Muslim. I mean, really? Oh, but I know who is. How about radical leftists, Antifa and BLM, who are out there literally burning over 250 of our businesses in the streets, right? And committing acts of violence and actual murder and crimes in the middle of our streets. It's just this whole opposite world that they're living in. But most people don't go beyond the Salon article. They read it and they take it as fact, right? Again, there's major ramifications for this kind of stuff. Public opinion polls and other research show that Republican and Trump voters embrace these values and beliefs and now believe that political violence on the order of January 6th Capitol attack may be necessary as a way of protecting their power and their privilege. Our privilege. That is not what conservatives believe. But they go on. The version of conservatism that Trump and his voters and followers have embraced is conserving politics as destruction. Its goal is to return the U.S. to a mythical and largely imaginary past of complete white and male and Christian dominance over every area of American life. It's just not true. Such a plan is made possible through a radical, extreme right-wing politics in which conserve and appeal to traditional values and use to mask or camouflage an assault on multiracial democracy and a more cosmopolitan, inclusive, democratic, and humane American society. They go on. In practice, these kind of people allow for free market to decide what is supposedly best for the American society under the pretext of maximizing individual freedom and liberty. In other words, Salon is against freedom and liberty. It is beyond me how anybody can be against freedom and liberty today, but they are, and they're growing in mass. And no, our freedom and liberty is truly at risk today, unlike ever before. But then they go on to say, Unlike when today's Republican and their voters and other followers say they want the party to become more conservative, what they're really trying to say is that there's a desire for friendly fascism. In other words, Republicans and Trump supporters are fascists. And then they conclude, and here's the most powerful part. Today's Republicans love Donald Trump and his policies. Most of them, however, do not want the shame, stink, and blood and filth of his neo-fascist project on their hands. Like the good Germans of the Nazi era, Republicans want to believe that they are good and decent people who can hide behind fictions of plausible deniability for the evils committed by their leader. Calling themselves conservative is just an effort to shield themselves from responsibility. Will the subterfuge succeed? The American people and the world will find out soon. So we're the good Germans because the conservative name is just a mask. No, it isn't. It isn't what you're saying, right? It is not what you're saying. Conservatives are not violent, radical people, and they don't believe a lot of what you're talking about. What is at risk today is our freedoms unlike ever before. And if you think this article is just a one-off, nope. Let me show you more. All right, let me show you some of that. Here's BreitbartNews.com. LA Times likens aggressive niceness of Trumpites to terrorist hospitality and polite Nazis. That's the LA Times. Then we have here BreitbartNews.com, CNN, Christine Amanpour likens Trump's tenure to Nazi Germany. Then we have here the Philadelphia Inquirer, an opinion article. Is it wrong to compare Trump to Hitler? No, it's not. Then we have the Washington Post, and you've seen this before, but it's a bunch of rats. Those are supposedly the Republicans. This is Nazi-style propaganda being pushed in the face of society. So yes, it's not a one-off article. This is a mainstream sources, article after article after article, and that's what they do. They all work together and they bombard. And now we've got this mentality that conservatives are Nazis. Conservatives are deplorables. They're xenophobics. They're racists. They're bigots. They're white supremacists. They're white nationalists. They're Nazis, and they're worthy of being domestic terrorists. See how that works? And the real conservatives aren't only, a portion of the conservatives that are wearing masks. No. Is that what they did to the Jews? They weeded out some of the Jews and said, these ones aren't worthy, but these ones are. I don't know. And that's why I say that this should be the #1 news source. Instead, it's going completely ignored. The fact that that kind of rhetoric is being pushed against one political side is terrifying. But that political side is not doing all the things they mentioned of. They started the beginning of the story with Trump inciting violence at the Capitol. He never did. He said, walk to the Capitol peacefully. There's a big difference to what they're actually claiming. Anyhow, please don't forget to check out my partner at noblegoldinvestments.com. Right now, they are giving away, and this is different. This is the Morgan corn here, and it is a keeper. And you can see this thing up close there in the camera, but this is now being given away with any approved IRA. And I want to encourage you, if you haven't converted your 401k or gotten a 401k or gotten a Roth IRA, today is the day to do it. And you can back that by gold, silver, and precious metals and get ahead of everything that's going on with the economy. I am very purposeful about who I allow as advertisers, and Noble Gold is one of those that I really trust and use myself, and highly recommend to get on a plan with noblegoldinvestments.com. And again, for that approved IRA, you get this collector's Morgan coin. So check it out at noblegoldinvestments.com. Anyhow, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. I love all of you. I can't express how much you mean to me. And thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.